Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shop Talk. I'm JayLeonardJ.
My name's Jonathan Lindsay. Thanks for joining us.
This is our little monthly video here where I come to you live from Tapestry Music in Vancouver. Look at that sign over there. That's just gorgeous. And the first Wednesday of every month, we just come here and we just talk shop. We just talk about stuff that we always talk about when we're at guitar stores. There's something about like the vibe of a guitar store, you know? And
it just makes you want to talk about guitars.
Because there's not a lot of us in the world with the crazy obsessions that we have. So when, I'm at like Home Depot or IKEA, I can't talk to anyone about True Bypass. But when I come to the guitar store, everyone wants to talk about True Bypass. So I have a really cool topic today. All right. So we've been talking about today we're talking about fuzz pedals. Okay, fuzz pedals. And I'm trying to figure out when it comes to the classic fuzz pedals, which schematic, which fuzz pedal is the greatest fuzz pedal of all time. Okay? So we're going to dig in pretty deep, and we're going to talk about some of there's a lot of clones out there, the updated versions of it. We're going to try to bring it down to the OG models that inspire the modern models. And we'll see, of all of the different circuits out there, which one reigns supreme. So
we're getting into some sharky waters here.
Going deep, everybody. Now, I guess before we get too in deep, we'll talk about like the definitions of a fuzz, right? So,
yes, that's a good point. A lot of people do get confused because you got your fuzz, you've got overdrive, you've got distortion. Where does the line?
It's murky, right?
Yeah.
So I would kind of characterize I think for at least today, like a soft clipper, an overdrive pedal, we're not that's not a fuzz. It's a little bit more genuine. It's supposed to it's tighter sounding. It's supposed to replicate the sound of a pushed amplifier. That's really not what fuzz is going for. All right. And when you think of distortions, tight again, very defined, a lot of just low end and tightness. That's not really going for. I think
high gain for sure.
High gain, yeah. Well, fuzzes can get
fuzzes get pretty high gain.
But the way I would say usually distortions, overdrive pedals, they tend to be based around op amps. If you want to get like schematic-y op amps, JFET circuits, we're going to kind of ignore those. More, we're going to think about like transistor-based gain boxes, especially with a fuzz. The idea of a fuzz, whereas like say an overdrive is supposed to push your amp to gain territory, right?
Yep.
A distortion is supposed to sound like a distorted amp. Fuzz originally was about sounding like a broken amp. That's really the roots of it. If you think of like, what was it, Ike Turner, what was the name of that song? 88 Rocket or something like that.
Rocket 88?
Rocket 88. Those sounds were sounds of, torn speaker cones, fault, bad capacitors and amplifiers. So they were more kind of bloomy and saggy, and it would have these weird overtones. It was sometimes it'd be buzzy, kind of like squawky, mid-rangey. Just the sound of just disgusting. That's a fuzz. That is a fuzz in all its wonderful and beautiful glory. And that's actually,
I think the Kinks were quite famous for cutting the speakers in the studio to try and get that overdriven sort of sound,
because it's a beautiful sound. It's ratty. It's very, very forward, and it's more dangerous than like an overdrive or a distortion. There's a thing about
dangerous. I like
there's
that.
a thing about a fuzz.
Dangerous. I'm always scared to step on one. It's like, what's gonna happen?
Well, especially like we talk about transistors, like a germanium transistor. It's like it's temperature sensitive. They can be kind of finicky. So sometimes, especially with the old fuzzes, and it's a germanium one, you don't know if you press it, it might go to some weird places, and that's part of the fun. So I think the best place to start off with our nailing down what the greatest fuzz is talk about, I think, kind of the father of the fuzz world. The first pedal
the fuzz father?
The fuzz father, the one that was designed to go for that torn speaker, broken thing, and that is the
Maestro, right?
The Maestro.
FZ-1. We're in Canada, so FZ-1. FZ-1.
FZ. I say Z just because my heart wants it to be Z.
I think in that particular one, it sounds better with the Z too. FZ.
Yeah, FZ1.
FZ1 doesn't have.
Do you know
quite
why?
the
Because
ring to
Z sounds zippy. Not
zippy.
Zip. Anyway, the Maestro Fuzz is the one that a lot of people. There's a couple other variations of it. I know Hornby skews the Zonk machines, kind of a similar fuzz to that. The first version of the Tone Bender, very similar to the FZ1. And if you think of a song, do you know the song? The most popular, probably FZ1 tone.
Well, I don't know which one necessarily that is, but I'd heard that this was based off of, there was a famous country song where the lead guitar player had cut his solo and there was a problem in the console and something, so it laid down this distorted tone. And I don't know if back then they were just like, well, we'll just have to live with it or whatnot. It couldn't just go in like overdub back in those days, but they put the song out and people really liked the sound of that. And so they came back to these engineers and were like, hey, can you recreate that guitar sound for like another project or whatever? So they ended up trying to build a box that would recreate the sound of that broken console. And that's what the FZ1 or FZ1 came to be. Exactly
what it sounds like. Incredibly buzzy, incredibly mid-rangey, no dynamics.
Pretty harsh. I seem to recall.
There's like one sound. There's like really one sound. You know, there's that joke about fuzz pedals where they make all guitars sound the same. That would probably be the Maestro. And you have to be really careful with these because if you hit it too hard, it splats. Like they like a soft touch.
Yeah.
Okay. When I think of the Maestro FZ1, I think of Satisfaction. The Rolling Stones.
Yeah, that's probably
the sound, right?
The real famous, probably the most famous one that people are familiar with.
Yeah, almost like a trumpet kind of sound. And I think, you know what I mean, like trumpety.
Well, yeah, it's like
kind of brassy and kind of like like brassy is a good word because I can see the
dynamics go out the window with it. It's just like you just got to hit it and you get that one sound. And you're right. If you hit it too hard, you kind of overload the circuit. And you're not getting much nuance with that one.
Absolutely no nuance.
But
whatsoever.
Started a revolution, that's for sure.
And before you know it, everyone started copying it. And then not too long after came out probably what a lot of people, when it came to the, I call it the IPA of fuzz pedals, and that is the Fuzz Face. The Dallas Arbiter Fuzz Face. And those were the ones, I think they were actually made from like the bottom
mic
part.
Stands.
Mic stands.
Yeah, like
Mitch, you got a picture?
Full-size mic stands.
And these were the Fuzz
Face.
Face. The Fuzz Face. Now, they were big, heavy. Look at that. And they smile at you when you look at it. These were very different than the Maestros because the tonality, it was a lot more dynamic. Of a tone.
Definitely. And this is the Jimi Hendrix fuzz. Like I think first thing anybody thinks of with a fuzz face has to be Jimmy.
I think so. And who else uses it? It would be someone like Stevie Ray Vaughan, very popular user of it.
Was he using fuzz face?
Oh yeah, he used the fuzz face, especially when he was doing his Jimi Hendrix covers.
Well, that would make sense. Yes. Yep.
Eric Johnson.
Yep. Yeah. I remember he always used one. I feel like he used it like stacked into a Marshall to get that really like thick, huge lead tone.
And I think the reason why, especially these people like Eric Johnson, Jimi Hendrix that have such expression, the reason why they like the fuzz face as opposed to something like a Maestro is it was dynamic in the fact that there was a magical thing that happens when you turn down the volume knob.
It cleans up.
And so you can actually keep the thing on almost all the time and just get different variations of tone just by turning all the way up. It's like really bloomy and kind of like woofy. And then you clean it up, it gets tight and just really, it's like mid-rangey and nice. It doesn't get muddy like a tube screamer. It's a beautiful, beautiful sound.
I was reading about the fuzz face history a little bit, and it was interesting. I think it was Roger Mayer that was saying this, who was Jimmy's tech at the time, I think, and built some pedals for him. He was saying that Jimmy also liked the fuzz faces because they were really cheap. Because at the time they were like, it was either 3 pounds or 6 pounds or something like that, because he was going through something like 15 to 20 of them a week.
Wow,
at one point in time, either from them breaking or from people just stealing them.
I
Because
get
people
that.
he would perform and people would like steal one when he wasn't looking.
That,
So
that
he- so
heavy.
he-
Can you imagine trying to steal that thing? It's a brick on the floor.
So he was going through so many of them, but they were cheap and you could just buy more of them. But they're also, the original ones, like, to your point, they're germanium transistors, which were super inconsistent. And so you'd plug into one and it might sound great. You plug into a different one, it might sound like garbage. And depending on the temperature of the day, they could sound totally different. And apparently in the studio, when they used them, they actually opened them up and took them apart and like replaced some of the components or powered them differently so that it would be more even and sounded better. But live it was just kind of like he just had a stack of them with him all the time.
It's such a temperamental pedal because also as the battery ages, the sound changes as well. And I think because there's so few components in a fuzz face, it's a very delicate balance, and that's why I think modders love the fuzz face circuit.
There's lots of room in there to do mods too.
Yeah.
It's a big, huge thing with like 3 components in there.
And there's
Lots
so many
of space.
iconic modern fuzz, like the Fuzz Factory by Zvex is a fuzz face with a preamp in front of it. That's really pretty much at its heart is kind
Really,
of
is
what's
it?
going on with
Wow.
it. And you think of the big boutique boom, the beginning of it, Analog Man with his sun face, everyone, because I think there were so many things about stabilizing a fuzz face, getting it so that you can get those sweet tones by, changing the bias so that way those germaniums could be more predictable. A lot of that early pedal modding thing was finding ways to get a fuzz face to sound great, because when it sounds great, there's nothing like it. So first, head to head.
Ooh.
Are we going to go with the original, the buzzy, the nasty, the uncontrolled, the one-note wonder, the FC1 Maestro Fuzz, or are we going for the venerable? Is that a word? I said it last week, I think.
Venerable?
Venerable?
Definitely not venerable. We've been through this before. I think venerable is a
The
word.
venerable Dallas Arbiter Fuzz Face. What would be your choice?
For me, I think there's no contest there. I'd have to go fuzz face.
Absolutely. I don't. Come on now. That I think the better you get at guitar, the more the fuzz face gives you. You keep learning with it, and it's like a friend. And when you get a good fuzz face, hold on to it, because they'll never. That would be another one that sounds.
And that one's it's such more of a musical pedal with a lot more going on with it, whereas the original, the FZ-1, I mean, that's a one-trick pony. If you really want that particular sound, sure, that's great, but that's all you're doing with that one. Whereas fuzz face, you can do a lot with that one, whether it's going to clean amp or whether it's going to dirty amp, which a lot of people like it that way. I mean, you've got your germanium ones, you've got your silicon ones, you've got all the boutique variations on it. It's stood up the test of time and has kind of reigned as one of the top fuzzes ever.
Yeah, it's so simple, so beautiful. So I think we're both in agreement.
Yep.
Okay, Fuzzy, we're breaking this down now. Now we're going to get
go.
into the next one. Here's another classic.
What's our
fuzz.
next contender?
Okay, the next contender is the immortal, the much-loved, another ridiculous enclosure. These old fuzz faces, or not fuzz faces, but old fuzzes, they have the best enclosures. I think my love for ugly, big, ostentatious pedals come from the fuzz world. We're talking about the Tone Bender. There's different versions of. There's the Vox Tone Bender. Sometimes they call it the Color Sound Tone Bender. The Sola Sound Tone Bender.
Yeah.
Different. Now, the Tone Bender is a very interesting pedal because there's actually different versions of the Tone Bender.
It's gone through different generations, and some of them are completely different than early ones. And I think it seems like the name that's on there, or the brand name, had a lot to do with what company was distributing it at that time, because it'd be distributed through one company in the UK and a different company in the United States.
Exactly.
Made in Italy, but it might be the same thing under different names, and gets a bit of confusion that way.
The history of it is just absolutely been. Look at the enclosure, though. What a sexy pedal that thing is.
It's weird. It looks like something that would be like a pedal for like an old organ or something, like a Hammond organ, which probably makes sense because I think it was the same distributors back then that were doing that. Same thing with the wah pedals too, like the original like Vox wahs and all that. Like similar sort of history with the tone benders, where they're branded numerous different ways through different distributors, but made in the same place, and makes it for a little bit of a muddied history, but classics nonetheless.
Oh, absolutely. The tone bender, actually, I think there's 3 variations of the tone benders people like to talk about the most. The version 1, which would be something more close to, as we said, the Maestro Fuzz. So it was kind of like a 3 transistor Maestro clone. There's the version 1.5.
Ah, yes.
This is the well-known one, which is kind of closer to a Fuzz Face, 2 transistor, and it has very similar sounds to that. And I think the most well-known one, I think when people talk about the tone bender, most likely this is the one they have in mind. It's the Mark II. The Mark II, which is, again, going back to a 3 transistor version. And that would be, I think a lot of people associate that with
The Jimmy Page one?
Jimmy Page one. And it is,
go.
what a great soloistic pedal that is. I think one of my favorite moments, there's a movie called It Might Get Loud. Have you seen that movie?
Yes, I have seen that.
Jack White and Jimmy Page and The Edge.
Yeah, The Edge was in that. There's a handful of guitar players in that.
And there was this moment where, Jack White, the whole movie's just trying to look really like, I'm a blues guy, I'm a cool rocker and stuff. And Edge is like, I don't like solos, he's Irish, right? That's the best Irish accent I get. Is he Irish, or is that what he is?
Irish, I believe, yes.
So he's my Irish accent. I don't like solos.
I'm not even going to try.
And so, they're trying to be all cool rocker guys, right? And then there's this moment where Jimmy Page gets, his cranked Marshall, and he turns on that pedal, the Mark II tone bender, and he starts playing Whole Lotta Love, and you can see their faces, and they turn into children again. Like little boys falling in love with guitar.
God.
And,
that's cool.
When you think of the early Zeppelin albums, Telecaster, tone bender, what a combination.
I would imagine standing in the room with a Tele going into a tone bender into a Marshall, that would be probably a pretty unforgiving sound.
Well, how would you describe the tone bender sound?
It's not the easiest sound to play, that's for sure. It's not smooth.
No, it's not.
I think a Fuzz Face is easier to get along with. Yeah. The tone bender is definitely it's a sharp one.
Yeah,
definitely a sharp, pointy fuzz.
It's definitely. Whereas when you get a Fuzz Face, especially when it's cranked, it's kind of bloomy and warm.
Especially if it's a germanium one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those are warm and woolly. The silicone ones are sharper,
a little bit
sharper
more
for sure.
But even at the sharpest with the silicone Fuzz Face, you compare it to a tone bender. Tone bender is significantly less low end, much more mid range, and you're right, just pointy. The attack. If I usually recommend a tone bender to people that are overdrive players wanting to get into fuzz. It's a good gateway drug into the world of fuzz.
Well, it's probably going to cut better than a Fuzz Face for sure. A Fuzz Face is going to get lost in there, but this is going to cut through a fair bit more.
It has a very great attack. It has a very great presence. So whereas it doesn't bloom as much, but man, it's bright, and man, it's it is gritty, and it loves an amp that's loud. You really gotta get your amp really kind of in that sweet spot, because
I love the retro graphics on some of those old enclosures too, especially some of the Solo Sounds ones where
the
it's got
Solo
all
Sounds
the
are
orange and pinks and kind of psychedelic looks. They're very cool.
The tone bender too is, I think it is just an absolute perfect solo fuzz pedal. When you're trying to do your solo, you're trying to get yourself heard. It's a great one. Now we're going to go here. Are we going to go Fuzz Face, or are we going to go tone bender? Now, speaking of the brightness, there's other versions like the Mark III where they do put a tone knob. Very nice. And
that would be a nice feature, yes.
Earthquaker does their version. There's a lot of new tone benders have a tone knob to kind of help
That'd
you out.
Be a welcome addition.
If you can pick between the old Fuzz Face or the tone bender, what would you go for?
Ooh. It seems awfully early in the race for a decision of this magnitude.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
Oh. I mean, for me personally, I'd probably still have to go Fuzz Face.
Oh, really?
But I have a lot less experience with tone benders, so I haven't really gone down the tone bender rabbit hole.
I'm gonna go tone bender. I think the tone bender is I think it's it's not as dynamic as a Fuzz Face because it doesn't really clean up nice. It doesn't clean up.
True. Yep.
But I think it is like, especially if you're looking for a solo guitar tone. Sometimes I find Fuzz Faces are too bloated for their own good. I feel like they work the best in a trio. But the moment you start adding keyboards and organ and horns and all this kind of stuff, the tone bender, that's when it really finds itself. And when you really want yourself to be heard, people always go, oh, fuzzes get lost in the mix. Tone bender will not.
Yeah,
will
absolutely.
Not get lost in the mix. So we find ourselves at an impasse or at a tie. So we're going to have to go to our official tiebreaker, Mitch, behind the camera.
Oh, man. No.
Which one would you go for if you could have one fuzz?
I'm not a fuzz user.
Oh, I like this even more. I like this
it gets
even
more
more
complicated.
If you had to
Go by
choose,
style.
you're gonna go. Would you go for the Jimi Hendrix warm, thick and juicy, dynamic, or would you go for bold, brassy, soloistic, quick attack, almost overdrive?
Which one has less nose, little softer, fuller?
Like a Merlot, little less Cab Franc.
A nose of Barnyard,
We don't want the pepperiness of a Cab Franc.
nice and oaked.
Whichever,
not too oaked.
Whichever is a little fuller and less nasally. Which is that?
That's going to be Fuzz Face.
There you
the
go.
Fuzz Face. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fine. You know what?
Jay's ready to go home at this point.
I think if
You played your horse too early in the race.
I should have. No, I should have buttered you up a little bit more with my love for this.
It definitely wins on the graphics.
It wins on the
It
graphics.
looks. I mean, the Fuzz Face is one of the boringest, ugliest looking pedals.
I think it
out
looks
there,
pretty with a little smiley face.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these are way more exciting.
See, I will be willing to tip my hat to the Fuzz Face because I think technically it's a more versatile pedal, but come on. You can't beat that.
Doesn't fit on my
lead
pedal
sound.
board.
None of them do.
Okay, I think all the fuzzes we're going to talk about are not going to fit on your pedal board. Okay?
Can we put Beatronic Swarm in there?
That's a great pedal.
That one's
Swarm's
a
a
wild
fantastic
fuzz.
pedal. Isn't Fuzz fantastic? I'm going to veer us off into a different direction now. Okay. So we've been going through
Straying away from vintage, or
no,
just
we're keeping it
vintage?
at the classic circuits.
Okay.
But now we're going to bring in an overtone to our sound, which would be an octave sound. So there are 3 Octavius kind of
Octavius
fuzz
Maximus.
pedals that comes in. So there's this wonderful little type of fuzz that when you roll to your neck pickup and you go play high, what does it do?
Oh, it does the most beautiful little thing. That octave jumps out and gives you this really cool overtone over top of what you're playing. But it's more than that makes that pedal so cool. You can, if you put the volume down a little bit, and even if you switch up your pickups, you get clangy ring modulator tones. And if you play like kind of stacked fourths, it sounds like massive power chords. Oh. It's a beast in its own.
It is when we talk about unpredictability, we talk about harmonics, we talk about just overtones. The Octavia is one of the great fuzz sounds. Definitely horrible for chords. You have to be very deliberate about what you do. It is
if you play anything other than a perfect interval, I think it just goes clangy, crazy.
It is definitely not an all the time on kind of pedal, an Octavia.
No.
And some people when they talk about the Octavia go, "Oh, why don't you just get something like a Pog, which is like an octave or a Boss octave pedal, a pitch shifter." It does shift your pitch up, but it's a very different kind of experience. How would you explain the difference between like an Octavia octave than something like a digital pitch shifter?
Well, if you pitch shift your octave, you're getting like a pure, more or less synthesis of what you're playing. It's going to sound like you're playing that note an octave down or an octave up or whichever way you're pitching it. And it's not really going to change the character. It's going to sound like there's another guitar playing that an octave up from what you're playing. Whereas like an Octavia, it's almost hard to describe. It's got this weird, like it's very much more, I think you're right, it's like an overtone that's up there playing over top of what you're playing, and it's got a very strange, unique character to it. And it's one of those sounds that I used to hear in recordings, and I always wondered what it was. And I would hear it guitar players playing with that sound, and I'm just like, man, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know how they're making that sound, and it's really cool, and it piques my ears every time I hear it. And then finally, when I got to try one, I was like, oh, this is how they make that sound. This is so cool. It's such a neat thing.
It's a one invaluable tool in the recording studio when you want to have that great pokey guitar. It's like a ring modulator in a way, and so that when you do a double stop, like you play 2 notes at the same time and bend one, it's not an octave. It kind of gets another tone in there,
and it goes in
pitch.
a weird direction.
It goes
too.
in all kinds of crazy directions. That's the Octavia. Now there's other versions of octave fuzzes that come to mind too when it comes to the classic sounds, and that would be the octave pedals that you could actually turn off and on the octave. So the 2 that stick to mind are the Fender Blender, which would be very popular kind of pedal that has this great fuzz pedal sound. And then when you want it to get to that nasty place, you press that pedal, and then you're going to start to get some really cool overtones and like really cool kind of sounds. And the other one,
that one's pretty high gain too, isn't it?
Really?
The fuzz circuit is it's very high gain.
It's awesome. It's the best. And then one of my personal favorite, the Foxx Tone Machine. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Tone Machine.
They when we talk about good looking, if we were to have like a fuzz pedal pageant, I think this might be the winner. Look at that thing. They came in different colors.
And weren't some of them like almost wrapped in like velvet or something?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like this beautiful velvety kind of thing.
That would get so dirty.
And that, again, it's that thing when you want to kind of take it to that next level, get those overtones, you turn on the octave, it goes crazy. I
like that it's got the little switch there, the mellow or bright. That's a nice thing on a vintage fuzz.
And mellow, it ain't that mellow.
I bet.
Now, if you had to pick, between the classic kind of octave pedals, is there anyone that you would kind of say is the one that you'd go for?
I don't know. I mean, I've tried lots of Octavia style ones, and I love those. I love that circuit. It's so interactive.
You run one on
really
your
cool.
board, like an octave kind of fuzz.
Yep. I do. I always like having that. I've got a couple different Octavia style pedals at home, which is cool. The Fender Blender, I've tried it, and I'm like, this is not my cup of tea.
No.
That thing. I mean, I like any of the octave circuits, but the fuzz on that one's a bit too much for me. The Tone Machine, I actually haven't had a chance to try like a proper Tone Machine or replica. So that one I don't know, but I'm curious to certainly try that. I think isn't the Full Tone Ultimate Octave?
Yeah, kind of the similar thing.
It's it's a stronger kind of octave, I think, than an Octavia.
Yeah, it definitely kind of gets. It's not. Yeah, it's a little. It's just a nice versatility to it. I think it's a really cool pedal. If I had to vote, I would say I would stick it to the classic Octavia.
It's pretty fun. It's such a cool pedal.
Yeah. So now, let's go say we have the Fuzz Face, the Octavia.
This is like Hendrix versus Hendrix.
I know. Exactly. Most people actually that have Fuzz Faces have Octavias, and they have both on their board. So if you had to pick one to kind of work your sound around, what would you pick?
That's a tough one because I love Octavias, and I use an Octavia anytime I can. But it's a very specific thing. It's more of a toy. Yeah. It's not versatile. It's not something you're going to use to build your sound. Whereas the Fuzz Face is something you'll build your tone around. You can make a lot of music with that. You could have it on all the time if you wanted. That one makes a lot more sense as a practical pedal. If somebody was going to get a fuzz pedal, I wouldn't tell them to go buy an Octavia for their first fuzz pedal. That would be crazy, unless they're looking for something just wild. But whereas a Fuzz Face, it would make sense. You're going to get a fuzz pedal, go get a Fuzz Face. Try that. So that puts me in a weird spot in my heart. I'd love to pick the Octavia, but in the grand scheme of everything, I think the Fuzz Face
is the one.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, you know what? I was going left, on the left side here with the tone bender, but I can't. Come on, Fuzz Face has to win this one. Come on. Now there's one more big matchup we need to do, but before we get into the last big matchup, I thought it might be cool to talk about some other fuzz pedals, classic fuzz circuits that probably don't get as much talk about. One that comes to mind is one that we've talked about a couple times, the Fuzzrite.
Awesome. Yeah. I was hoping that one would come up the old Moseley
What
there.
What do you think of the Moseley?
That one's cool. I mean, it's kind of back into like, that one's very much a 60s fuzz. We're back into like the Maestro territory.
Very similar,
and the tone bender territory. It's a very like characteristic of some of those tones of the 60s. It's not a pleasant sound, but in the right context, sense. It's if you just heard it by itself, you'd be like, oh geez, that's something. But it definitely like, that just conjures up like spaghetti western movies and stuff for me, like that kind of tones. So I have a soft spot for that sort of thing. It's again not an everyday pedal, it's not an always on pedal, but if you want that 60s fuzz experience, that one you can put that one right in there with the Maestro and the tone bender.
There's
I think
some of those that when you just pin the volume, it's still quieter than your bypass tone.
Oh, jeez.
Like, they are weird. I remember the first time I played, I never played an original, but the first time I played like a direct clone, I was just kind of like, is this broken? Like, what is
this thing on?
And then before you know it, so you're like, your immediate reaction was like, what is this? This is and then you're about like 3 minutes into it and you're like, oh, you start hearing stuff and you're like, I know this sound now. And then you kind of get that direction. But I feel like every time I play one of these, I have to play very different, like the way I approach the guitar. And but when you nail it, it is a really great sound. Inagata Davida would be a song that I would.
Oh, that one's Fuzzrite, is it?
It's Fuzzrite.
Oh, okay, okay, that's cool.
I believe I might be wrong here, but oh no, that's a FZ-1. Well, the Maestro, the Red Bone, the Childish Gambino, that's a FZ-1, I think. So that's not a Fuzzrite, but Fuzzrite. Really cool pedal. I don't know if I'm gonna compare that to a Fuzz Face. I don't know if I would give that a nod.
It's a cool pedal, but it's certainly not one of the top ones out there. But definitely worth checking out if you're a fuzz fiend.
Yeah. Now here's another fuzz. Now this one would be one I would actually pick over a Fuzz Face, but I don't know if I don't think you agree with me. This one is my personal favorite of the vintage fuzz, and this one for that Mitch might like because he doesn't like those big ostentatious pedals on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, this pedal is not just a pedal that's not, it's not just small, right? But it's a pedal you don't even put on your pedal board.
I know it's coming.
Don't even put it in. It is immortal,
its own pedal board.
The often overlooked, and the moment you pick it, you show a picture of it, you'll know exactly why more people don't play it and why it's not popular. But it's a shame because it's one of the greatest. What am I talking about?
This must be the Jordan Bosstone.
The Jordan Bosstone, my personal. This is where I'm now. Emotions getting involved in this greatest fuzz of all. The Jordan. Look at that thing. Yes, Mitch.
Is that what the original looked like? It's just black.
It's if you look at an AC adapter that you use to power your pedals,
they got one of those.
Yep, they got one of those.
Somehow in my mind, I imagined it being like bright orange or something.
No, I think
that's a very dull looking.
Well, Jordan had a whole series of these plug-in pedals, and you can tell that it has like the actual jack.
It's got the 1/4-inch jack like right on the back.
Right on it, which means if you have a Strat or a Telly, oops, not happening.
Yeah,
not happening.
That's got to only really work with certain guitars.
Gibsons,
like an SG, it would work well on the top.
Jazzmaster,
yeah.
And I
guess it would work on maybe on a 335.
A 335, 100% it would. That's typically that's why usually when you hear that Bosstone guitar sound, it's usually combined with humbuckers, even though I think it sounds amazing, almost better with a single coil guitar. I think
surely somebody has put this into a pedal enclosure by now.
Many people. This has been cloned countless times. I think the most Voodoo Labs, the Super Fuzz, is based on the Bosstone. There is what's it called? The Trombona or something like that. That's a
Trombona.
The KMA Fuzzly Bear is based on the Bosstone. When we're talking about this fuzz, I actually consider it almost to the point where it is a rudimentary version of an overdrive pedal. Very fast attack. Very kind of mid-rangey kind of sound. You can use it like an overdrive pedal. It just has a little less bass than the typical overdrive pedal. So it's definitely it's really nice because it's like a tone bender, only a lot more controlled and a lot more polite. In a way, it can get very crazy. It can get really, really nasty and but I think at its best, it's almost like an overdrive pedal. Very famous with the Black Keys. They use the Bosstone a lot. And if they just put it in an enclosure, I think it would have been one of the great ones. Have you ever played a Bosstone?
I don't believe I have.
Not a lot of people have. It is my favorite. I highly recommend it, especially if you are an overdrive guitar player. If you think that the tone bender is a good gateway into fuzz for an overdrive player, I think the Bosstone would be even better. That's my 2 cents.
As long as you have a guitar you can plug it into.
As long as you have you can jimmy something together to make it right, or just completely mutilate a beautiful vintage Jordan Bosstone. I don't think it's gonna beat the fuzz. I don't think you haven't even played one.
How could I? It doesn't fit in a Strat.
But I think if I had to pick the greatest fuzz of all time, that is actually my pick. My personal pick from my personal heart, from my soul. I know this is going to lose. Oh, the JHS plugin. They call it the plugin. You get it? It's based on the Bosstone.
Oh, right. When they did those
plugin, right?
What was it called, like the character series or something like that?
Beautiful.
1967.
Do you know who also loves the Jordan Bosstone? Slide players. That was very popular amongst the slide.
Interesting.
Distorted slide sounds. Oh, I can talk about that whole pedal for years. Wonderful thing. So that brings me. Is there any other lesser known fuzzes that kind of popped to your mind before we go to the grand finale here?
I mean, more when we get into like modern times, there's some classic ones that are not original circuits, but like we'd mentioned, the Fuzz Factory.
Yeah, Fuzz
that
Factory.
One's a pretty landmark pedal that everybody took notice of. I've tried that one out and gone, man, I can make some wacky sounds out of this, but had trouble making normal sounds. But then I keep reading about people that just love that pedal and get great tones out of it. So I'm like, I just didn't spend enough time with it, I guess. And Scott Henderson is a player that I admire a lot that loves the Fuzz Factory as well. And he's a jazz fusion kind of guy. He's not necessarily doing a lot of really weird tones, but he loves that pedal. So
yep. I think
that one's quite cool.
Although it is based on a Fuzz Face, I think he did so much kind of things to it to really kind of take it into a different direction. Having a preamp in there,
pretty wild.
It pushes it in a different way and gets it's a very un-Fuzz Facey kind of sound. I think when it comes to the modern era, I think the Fuzz Factory is really that one kind of unique, stands on its own kind of
really
that's really touched the grand public in terms of mass appeal. To this day, I think it was introduced in like the early 90s. It's still the best selling.
Was it early
Zvex.
90s?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
It's still the best selling Zvex pedal.
Wow.
So goes to show, right?
Yeah. I mean, most modern fuzzes seem to be, variations on old ones where they put a bias knob or, just hand wire it or
getting rid of the
sort
defects
vintage
of old ones, making it more predictable.
Exactly.
So that brings us to our last.
I know you've got one
grand,
more up your sleeve
I think
here.
we all know what's coming up. It is. I don't know. I forgot which one it is. What is it? It is the.
I think an empire was built on this pedal.
The Big Muff
Electro-Harmonix.
Now that is the rabbit hole of the Big Muff Pi. You can go.
It's a whole world unto itself. I mean, decades and decades of variations and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm not sure what year that one first came out in, but it's probably more popular today than it was back then.
It is. It's one of those pedals. I think when I look at, I've seen every pedal company, every boutique pedal company has to have a version of a Big Muff Pi in their roster.
Yeah, or multiples.
And one thing, and the reason why I tend to see more Big Muff Pi clones than Fuzz Face clones is I think it's easier to clone a Big Muff Pi. It has more components, it's more complex, but you can be a little bit more loosey-goosey with it because there's so many. So a lot of people don't even count the Big Muff Pi as a fuzz because it's so there's different gain stages to it. There's different elements to it. There's clipping in there, the clipping circuitry. It's almost like if a Fuzz Face is an IPA, a very basic ingredients, kind of not distilled, and filtered too much, just pure brass tacks. the Big Muff would be like a Pilsner.
Pilsner.
Filtration processes. It's more complex. There's more things going into the manufacturing. So by the time you get it, it's a cleaner beer than an IPA.
A cleaner fuzz.
Wait a minute.
That's
those
an
hops
oxymoron.
aren't hitting. It's smooth. How would you characterize the Big Muff Pi sound?
Ooh, I mean, to me, it's a bit of like a wall of sound kind of fuzz. Like it's big. There's no mistaking when you step on that pedal. It's just like like square wave, massive kind of huge wall of sound sort of fuzz. And that's an interesting one too, because I feel like this is one of the ones where it gets used maybe equally or more often into clean amps than it does into dirty amps, whereas most of the other vintage fuzzes are typically used into an amp that's breaking up a bit already or something like that.
It kind of adds to the thing. This likes a clean palette.
Yeah, because this is just like overpowering. Like the other fuzz, the other fuzzes kind of like will work together with your tone, all that. This is just like boom. You engage the Big Muff, like that is your tone for sure.
Well, if you think about probably the most famous Big Muff Pi user in classic rock, it would be Pink Floyd.
David Gilmour.
Yep. And what was the amp that he was using?
I think it was like Fender Twin at the time.
High watts.
Or high watts.
Like those big, and high watts are like 100-watt monsters that just they were clean. Like really clean, really clear, so you can put the Big Muff Pi in there. Very characterized by not having a lot of mid-range.
No, super scooped, and that's one of the problems that a lot of people find with the Big Muff, live context, is you go and you hit it and you just disappear.
Where did your tone go? Yeah, it's
because the opposite of the tone bender.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Tone bender like sends you forward in the mix. This one just like sends you to the back of the stage because it's so much low end. But people love, like, if you hear it by itself, it's got that girthy bottom end that's like so cool.
It's funny. The tone circuit's really weird in it because it tilts. So when you go down, it boosts the lows and cuts the highs, and then when you go up, it cuts the lows and boosts the highs. So what happens is your tone's either going to be really thick and warm or really thin. And when I think of thin, I think of like the Isley Brothers, like Who's That Lady? Or Summer Breeze. Wow,
right,
wow, wow, wow.
Were they using a Big Muff on that?
I think that's a Big Muff.
Really?
But with the tone up, right?
Okay.
And then when you think of the tone down, that big wide, I would think of like Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, Billy Corgan, right?
And when you're saying
that's
wall.
a big wall of just, that Smashing Pumpkins tone is just huge.
Enveloping. And there's so many different variations. People get very, very... Whereas, when it comes to fuzz faces, it's like silicon, germanium fuzz face. Big Muff goes way deeper than that.
Well, it's just been... Because it's been constantly in production since 1970, whatever, when it came out. Whereas I think a lot of the others, like the, tone benders, the original ones were made for a few years and then company went bust. Mm-hmm. Dallas Arbiter, fuzz faces made for a few years, company goes bust. Whereas Electro-Harmonix have been constantly building pedals and they keep doing new variations. So you've got all your classic variations from the first, 20 years they were making them. And then they continue to make more variations down the road. And then you get all your boutique ones in the 2000s doing spin-offs or replicas.
And the thing about the Big Muff too is they didn't, like, as I said, since there's so much filtering going on, since there's it's such an interesting circuit, especially back in the vintage day, they were very loosey-goosey with the values. So you could actually look at different, there's different eras where there's the ram's head where it looks a certain way. There's the triangle where the knobs were in a triangle thing. And because as time goes by, they were using different kinds of resistors, different kind of components, giving it a different sound. And then when you get to there was a period in the 90s where they were made in Russia.
Yeah, the Russian Big Muff. I mean, that one's a whole thing on its own.
Very different. It still has the sound, but more mid-rangey, I think, and drier.
Really smooth top end on that one.
Yep.
That's a really nice
The tone circuit's very, very different in it. I think a lot of the boutique companies, they like to get the sound of the old kind of like the 70s ones, and then they'll get the tone knob from the Russian ones because the Russian tone knobs are very,
interesting.
Very nice. That Muffoletta's like that.
Okay.
JHS makes a pedal called the Muffoletta with all the different types of big muffs.
You can switch between them on there.
Yeah, but that cool. Tone knob is actually based off the Russian tone knob.
Okay.
Because it's just it's a very nice, very pleasing tone knob. Very great pedal.
They've also used the colorways from the Russian Big Muffs too.
which is really cool.
Black and yellow, and then the sort of olive army green.
And another benefit of the Big Muff too is also with a lot of these fuzzes we're talking about, the tone bender, the fuzz face, the Fuzzrite, even to a degree the Jordan Bosstone, you can't have any buffers in front of it. Right, because it's it needs to be connected directly to your guitar. So if you're using like a wireless system, or or if you have a pedal that like a Boss pedal that has a buffer in it, you can't. It has to be the first thing you plug into.
There's always the trouble with the wah pedal thing too, right? Like where do you put your wah because it messes up the fuzz pedal?
Exactly. So and that's with tone benders. Big Muff is actually that one vintage fuzz where you can actually use it with a wireless. You can actually use it with a buffer in front of it, and the sound will be consistent. Now, the problem with the Big Muff is, as you said, you can really lose yourself. The tone is not a lot of mid-range, and it's wide. So when you
basically zero mid-range.
I remember the first time I got this beautiful vintage Big Muff. And I went into a band rehearsal, and I started playing. And the moment the band started playing, I could not hear. I could not hear my guitar at all. And I kept turning up my amp.
Turning up, right?
And then all I would hear is this really thin, buzzy, high-end tone. And I'm going, what the heck is going on? And then I'd get the band to stop, and I'd play, and my guitar would be screeching loud. But when the moment the band started playing again, it was gone because it just was. It's too wide. So like you
should have been using a tone bender.
Should have been using a tone bender. Maybe that's why I like the tone bender so much. It's like
you can hear yourself.
PTSD.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So that's why a lot of people that use Big Muffs, David Gilmour, they use it with a boost, like the Color Sound Overdriver.
Okay.
They would put that after Big Muff, or they'd get EQs, use it with EQs, use it with
gotcha.
wahs. You can cock a wah and then kind of pick a sweet spot in the wah pedal and use it with the Big Muff.
And that basically gives you a mid-range peak when you do that, right?
Yeah.
With the wah.
Look at every like high-end boutique Big Muff, and at least just look at the description and wait till you hear the word mids, because it's gonna come in, because mids is a very, very delicate thing with a Big Muff. How do you add mids and make it cut through without losing that Big Muff character? Very, very difficult.
That's a tricky thing to do.
So I think this is our last one here.
Final showdown.
Our final. It comes down to this, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Fuzz Face. I don't actually even know the answer myself, actually, to be completely honest. The Fuzz Face versus the Big Muff. Wow. What would you pick?
Two heavyweights.
I'm actually at a complete loss. I have to think about this here. Okay, I'm just gonna go with. Dang! I don't know what to pick. Okay, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Ready?
Okay. I think I've made my pick.
Okay,
I think I know why. Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3. Fuzz Face. We did this last time. Okay, why Big Muff? Why did you go Big Muff?
Well, I think if you look at the grand scheme of like the history of music and rock and roll, I feel like the Big Muff has covered more genres of music, or is used in more genres of music, and has been on more impactful records. Like, Fuzz Face is a very musical pedal. I honestly would rather play through a Fuzz Face most of the time than a Big Muff, but it's very specific to like a Hendrixy kind of thing, and everybody that's used it since has used it in a Hendrixy way. So it's kind of that. It's a little bit pigeonholed into that sort of style. Whereas I feel like the Big Muff is not trapped in any style of playing or any sort of genre, because you've got Pink Floyd, you've got Smashing Pumpkins, we've got all these like tons of metal bands using it, and then I'm sure it's probably on all kinds of pop stuff like Isley Brothers, like you mentioned too. Like it's something that is used in so many more types of music and so many more records than the Fuzz Face has. So that's why I'm leaning towards that. Plus, it comes in a cool wooden box.
It comes in a cool wooden box, and it is big, and it is ostentatious, which I like. But I know for me, the reason why I picked the Fuzz Face is I think a lot of it is the expression. It is a very tactile pedal with a Big Muff. Everything, it just compresses and saturates and smooths. Your sound is like always on. It's like a sustainer, right?
Yep.
With a fuzz pedal, you can get so many different microtones and subtones. You can turn it into an overdrive pedal if you turn it down. You could turn it into a full-blown broken speaker sound. You can go it down, and now it's crystal clean. And when the cleanness has like this mid-range to it, that's very, very pleasant to the ears. It's also undependable and crazy and unpredictable, just like what we want out of a fuzz. That's what fuzz is supposed to be. It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be uncontrolled. And sometimes you kind of go like, oh, I guess my pedal likes me today. I kind of like that. If that, you know, just if
Somebody's
you don't like
smiling on you today.
if you don't like, you don't like that about a fuzz, and get a tube screamer. You know what I mean? A fuzz is supposed to be dangerous. It's supposed to be crazy. And also, I think a big muff, I find every time I do run a big muff in my rig, there is a lot more shaping I have to do. I have to always combine it with something else. I never really just use it on its own, because it's just a lot. It's just a lot of pedal down low. It's so girthy, and finding the sweet spot I think it's a good studio pedal, or a pedal where I can mix it with EQ or a boost.
Agreed.
Whereas a fuzz face, I can just get Marshall amp, good old Stratty or a good old Telly, and then get the old thing on there, and then boom, I'm juicing all day. Keep it on the whole time. Rock and roll. Now we're at a tie. Mitch.
I knew this.
What is the greatest?
That's a nice Pink Floyd shirt you're wearing.
Oh, man, come on now. Come on. Easy there. You got to chill about.
We didn't discuss this beforehand.
He's wearing a Pink Floyd t-shirt.
He literally
He's
is.
literally wearing.
But
So, what is it going to be? Oh, gosh.
yeah.
I'm going to lose again. Why do I always lose
I don't
these?
know.
I don't know. You're losing at your own
Is that
game here,
bad?
man.
I'm telling you. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe we call it a draw.
No, I can't do that. I have to graciously accept my
But
defeat.
let me put
Oh,
it this way. If I'm using a fuzz, I just want a big, sustained wall of sound. Nothing I scoop mids. Which one's going to be better?
Oh,
Big Muff.
You're
You're definitely describing a Big Muff
You're
there.
a Russian Big Muff. I'll probably
That's
do
my
it for
favorite
you.
of the Big Muffs. The
Who
Russian
does?
one.
That's my favorite.
That's a nice
I
one.
like the Russian Big Muff.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
nice.
See, because it's a little bit grittier, works well with humbuckers. Oh my gosh! Well, that is it. That is it. That was really, really intense. That was beautiful, wonderful set. Isn't it? The Big Muff Pi, the greatest fuzz. Do you believe so? Write in the comment section below. If we missed any great classic pedal design, write it, because I'm obviously missed about all of them.
Oh,
There's so
yeah.
many
There
great
must
ones.
be hundreds, if not thousands of them. So
It goes-
let us know what your favorite is.
Right in
Or
comments below.
favorites.
Oh, and keep tuned in. Next month, we'll have another one on Wednesday. And if you like this vibe over here, every week on Thursday at the Tapestry Music YouTube page, we do have a little segment called Big Shiny Tones, where we go through the news, we play some guitars, we do more of the guitar shop stuff. I love my job. What a great job I have.
Playing guitars, talking about guitars. It's great.
Yep, and I guess that being said, we'll see you soon. Take care.
See you. Thanks for watching. Cheers.